pronounced Kristen, right?
Hello, you're listening to the Slurmcast, a podcast for no reason. Today we will be discussing Futurama Season 3, Episode 19, Roswell That Ends Well, with your host, Tommy Roulette.
How's it going?
Pete Woodward.
That's me.
And I'm Rick Horchie. Joining us today is our special guest, Kristen Burns.
Hello there.
Special repeat guest, Kristen Burns. Welcome back to the House of Pod.
Oh, thanks.
There was a bunch of monkey shenanigans in the Jumbotron this week, it looked like.
It was, our buddy.
That's what I thought. It was like Bosco being egged on by monkeys.
It's been the same. We used it before. Congo Jazz. I don't know. Even that name sounds racist.
Yeah. It does not sound good. But I was like, okay, there's monkeys fooling around, and there's Bosco, right? And here we are. Yeah, this was a good one. This is a real dense episode.
It's in my top 3.
It's one of my favorite episodes ever, for sure.
Horchie, are you IGN then?
Huh? Oh, really? Is it one of theirs too?
It's in their top 3.
Nice.
Number 3.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an order
point,
for my
if it
top
was in
3.
the top
Yeah.
1 or top 2, you would say it was in the top 1 or top 2. So if you don't say, you know what I mean? Like,
So it's in
you
your
wouldn't
top
you wouldn't
3,
say the
so-
number 1 is in the
Yeah.
top 3. You'd say this is the number 1 episode.
You're right. So it is your.
Well, I said it's
Number
in my
3.
top 3, so in comparison to them, he's also saying in their top 3.
But is yours an
Or you're-
ordinal,
maybe
an
you're
ordinal
being-
list, or is
No,
it
it's
just
just there's
unordered
3,
list?
yeah.
So they at any different time they could be jockeying for a different position.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Oh, I thought you were just being mysterious, and we didn't know if it was number 2 or number 3.
That's when you do a number 1 and a number
'Cause
2
you
at
always-
the same time.
Yeah. That's. Or it could be.
While you're showering.
While you're showering, it's a 5Z. But that's just because there's multiple points of egress.
This is like, I feel like this episode is like the, I don't know, like crown jewel of Futurama as
Yeah.
far as what goes on, and like is the basically the only time that they time travel in anything.
Except for Time Keeps on Slipping, which we watched about 3 weeks
Where
ago.
they jump in time, I guess.
Look, whether you
that's-
jump or you go through a wormhole, if you're landing in a different time, that would be considered time travel.
the last episode.
Well, there's also the time travel. Well, I mean, there's
All right,
there's
guys,
time
don't
travel
stop.
afterwards.
I mean,
too,
it's-
with the
Okay,
whole
the first time they go
tattoo-
back into time.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, technically, we're all time
In
travelers,
reality,
man. We're
which
just
is awesome.
experiencing it at the speed of 1 second per second. It's just a 1-to-1 ratio in a linear fashion.
And which is awesome about this episode. That's such a it was always a good way to figure out if you were watching a good Star Trek movie or show. Like all their best episodes are the ones where they, or movies are the ones where they go back in time and it's like, oh, here's a little bit
With
of
Spock fitting in on Earth.
yeah. And every time it's just like what hat or like
Or like when the people in charge of your country go back to 60 years ago and think everything was fine, like that kind of thing.
yeah.
It always has to go back in the winter time.
Is
so
this
we can wear a beanie.
is this going to be the best episode of America, or is this going to be just like the?
It'll be the most
is this-
entertaining
what's-
for
Is this
historians.
a backdoor pilot for Idiocracy?
Yeah, but so it's you always there's that thing where it makes for that specifically it makes that good soft sci-fi where it's like, all right, so maybe you don't want to watch a bunch of people sitting on a sterile ship talking about border issues with other alien races. Well, let's send it back in time. There's a whale, they have to save it, or whatever, and then
We
it's
can
like,
dress Daddy up like Sherlock Holmes.
Huh?
Right? We can dress up Daddy like Sherlock Holmes. I'm going to refer to Data as Daddy forever from now
oh,
on.
that won't be confusing or pointless.
Well,
Yeah, I didn't know what you were saying.
I didn't.
that's because you guys forgot, but in the episode that comes out
didn't.
tomorrow,
Sometimes I
It'll
wish I
all
had
be-
a soundboard during this podcast.
I tried to do it that one time and it wouldn't work. It just and then I had the
Because I want that, like,
the sad Price is Right. Whoa.
I just want the Pitbull air horn thing.
yeah.
We could just make it a party all the time.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
So as good as this episode was, lots of things for me to criticize too.
Oh, yeah.
So really, it was a total package. Right off the bat, has the Planet Express ship ever made jet engine noises before? I don't think it has.
I don't.
You know, when they're flying out towards a supernova, it's like a full-on rumbling engine jet fuel thing.
I think they did in like the first or second episode when they launch out and they do like the.
It would make sense on Earth.
I feel like they probably haven't that you actually noticed it.
First of all, in space is a vacuum, so there is no sound. But second of all, like I think it was something where it's just like this is not right. Like I wonder what led to that decision.
Hey, thanks Neil deGrasse Tyson.
That was a Professor
That means
Frank.
Star Wars probably would have been really good as a silent film then.
I would have thought that they would know not to get so close to a supernova.
Hey, come on. I mean,
Wouldn't the professor just be like, you need to stay...
But we don't know it could have been fine what happened.
yeah, as long as there hadn't been
The
incident.
other thing happening.
I
Because which thing are you talking about?
Which crazy thing happened?
I mean,
are
just
you guys
a
screaming about?
supernova is a star that's going to
Right.
explode and
I-
then collapse. And they
Okay,
were right
Neil
up on the
deGrasse
brink of it.
Tyson.
Can we not skip over the fact that this opening scene has my favorite Fry line ever?
Which
in it?
is?
What smells like blue?
He has that weird brain disease where he can smell colors. Synthesis?
Oh, yeah.
Synthesis or something like that. Where you can also see color, or like those weird people that can see colors. I meant,
Synesthesia.
yeah.
Well, to colorblind people, it's amazing. It's like Stevie Wonder's like, you can do what now? Chevy Nova.
Yes. If it's anything like my Chevy Nova, this is going to be great. I also liked Iffy Pop. Like everything,
I missed that.
the whole like first like minute of this episode.
Everything
You're
about
not
this
putting
episode.
micro. Oh, I mean,
yeah.
it's just from.
The Iffy Pop thing where it turns into the ear of corn. And then coincidentally, a friend of mine this week posted a thing on Facebook where he's like, I've been cooking Jiffy Pop popcorn for like 58 years. And
It's a really long time
yeah.
to pop one
yeah,
pop
right. He's like, I think I've got the whole thing down. And then
set out in the sun
something
every
happened
day.
where like it exploded and everything caught fire. It's just like, oh shit, and like had to like go and put, because like all the kernels popped out and they were in oil, and then the oil and the kernels caught fire from exploding out of the thing before they popped. And he's like, ah, like, you know, that would be very jarring. Which crazy thing are you guys screaming about?
Yes.
That's another great Fry thing right off there at the beginning where like, I mean, I was hoping everything would turn purple. And it didn't, and it seems like an obvious sort of problem to not have resolved. Thoughts?
Have you ever been watching a supernova? and
As a
then
matter of fact, Tom, yes, I have.
maybe they won't connect.
Well, if they didn't connect, then it wouldn't have created the wormhole, right?
They could have repelled each other and created a wormhole. We don't know.
I think if they repel each other, they wouldn't create nothing.
Something in between is created.
No.
Yes, everything is created by everything.
We've talked about the Bible before, Tom.
No, I think the whole thing was
Most
just
of
like
it's made up, except for the part about the dragons at the very end of it.
I think the whole thing was just a flimsy. Well, let's send it back in time. I don't know. A thing happens, and then like
How do you send anyone back in time? You have a DeLorean. You have a TARDIS. You have.
Get that Huey Lewis song and play it really loud.
What are the most ridiculous?
Meow, 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 meow.
You watch home videos of yourself. Butterfly Effect. Anyone? That's
Oh yeah,
terrible movie.
Notebook. I like that movie. I mean, I'm sure
The first one, I cried during it. It was so sad.
Wait a second. So we went from you, that's a terrible movie, to me putting myself out on a limb and going, I like that movie, and it is terrible, but I like it. And then you go, no, I cried during it. So it was a masterpiece.
Tommy Roulette cried during that movie.
Why?
Chaz Monticelli did not like it.
Too low rent? Not classy enough?
Yeah, I was going to ask why.
Too couture-ific?
I would think that'd be right up his alley.
he doesn't care for Ashton Kutcher.
Oh. You feel like he's in direct competition with him?
I think the problem is nobody cares for Ashton Kutcher.
And he hates
that's why
butterflies.
I like Ashton Kutcher.
He hates butterflies.
I meant like cares about him on an emotional level intimately.
like
I don't know. I
Demi
like that
Moore.
he's trying to save all
No,
those
she doesn't.
slave kids or whatever.
Well, she did at one point.
Yeah, and then he
he
started
actually
banging
did
stewardesses or
nice stuff.
something,
Thank you, Kristen.
right?
Yeah.
No, he fell in love with Mila Kunis. Kunerson. I don't know what I'm saying, guys.
All right.
Both of their last names start with KU. What are the chances? That whole time travel sequence, though, when everything ripped apart, there was a lot of psychedelics going on that. Like a lot of really good visual effects in that particular thing where it's like, I wish I was on drugs watching this right now.
Yeah, the glasses being all
Yeah.
like,
And then like some of the just the regular views, it was like they'd stick sweet computer animation inside the regular cells and stuff.
Yeah.
It looked pretty.
Yeah, it was nice.
I like there was the Felix clock.
yeah, isn't it the Simpsons clock?
Is that? I mean, that's
Yeah, but
a clock that
It's
is
a common
real,
clock,
though.
but yeah, you're right. It is. Is it the Simpsons clock? Don't they have that
I think
clock?
I wrote down Simpsons clock, question mark.
Yeah, they might have it.
And
I
in-
feel like
Also, it made me think of, well, I ended up watching it
we'll come back to that.
No, what? Come back to what?
The Simpsons thing.
No, it wasn't a Simpsons thing.
Okay.
It was them going through this, like all the clocks.
Yeah.
Also made me think of Yellow Submarine when they go through like the sea of time and like everything is a clock. And then
Yeah,
I
but
was
the
like,
Beatles were just high.
well,
This was serious science.
yeah, but that scene was kind of like,
With such noises. Oh, there's a lot of Zoidberg gold in this one.
Well, there was a
too.
thing. You know
Yeah,
how I was
oh my
saying a
God.
few episodes ago about, they started to realize like, hey, so Zoidberg's pretty likable, and we found a way for him to be really funny. Let's throw him in as like the fourth guy, and like the Wizard of Oz one or the Lucy Liu one, and et cetera. And this is where they like definitely hit the stride of, oh no, we figured it out. Like it doesn't even feel like that's happening. It just feels like he's great to use. Use him as a when you can in the right way. And it was just fucking great.
Get rid of Hank Azaria. None of that business. Just straight Zoidberg, no chaser.
I don't think Harold Zoid ever comes back in the
Good.
series at all.
Hopefully he's dead.
I don't remember him coming. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. Zoidberg's one of my favorites, so like I said last time, he's probably
Yeah.
Well,
He's just he's a fan favorite. Yeah.
Like the whole seatbelt thing that seemed. I mean, granted, the name of the episode kind of gives away what's probably going to happen. It was like, oh, I see where this is going now. Like as soon as they came through, like that made sense. But
What seatbelt thing?
when
Bender
Bender's like,
fell
yeah,
out or
more
whatever.
people die from those, and then he gets like thrown out of the crash.
like Dana. We have a friend that actually does not believe in seatbelts.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
He cuts out the seatbelts
Yeah,
of every
the first
car
time I got in the back of
has.
his truck or van or whatever that Bronco.
He used to
was
drum
like-
for one of our bands.
Yeah, he was the drummer in the rub-offs.
First time I got in the
Really?
back of his Bronco, it was completely full of axes, and I had to sit on like 50 axes.
Yeah, but I'm like, where's your seatbelt? He's like, yeah, I cut him out. They blah blah blah, whatever is.
He lives off the grid right now.
Yeah. No, which is one of the stupidest things ever for all the episodes and movies of them getting into a space fight and everyone getting thrown around and bodies flying over consoles as they explode. And it's like, oh, really? Every other sci-fi show has fucking seatbelts for your bridge crew. Like, it's just a seatbelt. We can transport people. We can transport matter, turn photon lights into matter in a holodeck, and travel faster than light.
And you
but
can
can't put
order
a fucking
anything
seatbelt
from,
in.
like,
the
a-
thing that was invented 150 years ago.
We also saw what happened when Bender did not wear a seatbelt and he flew through the windshield
Yeah, he flew.
and his head and body just broke apart.
Which I knew you would probably freak out about the fact that he could move his feet independently of
No,
his
that's
head.
because that's happened before.
Okay.
That seems like some kind of. I was more taken aback later on when Enos eats his brains and nothing happens to him.
I could just be part of it.
I mean, but he didn't seem to suffer any sort of cognitive lack from having parts of his brain yanked out and ingested by a slack-jawed yokel. Just a thought.
Slack-jawed Yokels is a local band.
Is it? Well, that's a total Simpsons reference. And if anything, I mean, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but Enos was like such a Cletus.
He was Gomer Pyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was literally Ginger Gomer Pyle. He even said,
Yeah, instead of-
golly!
He said Gadzooks.
Or
Said that was their-
Gadzooks, that's right, yeah. Gadzooks, Sarge.
Oh my God. There's layers to that. We'll get into that later. I just put that together. Wow.
I love how happy Zoidberg was when he was picking up Bender. Like he was making a game out of it. And he used the arm as like...
Okay, so does he have like a...
Sound effects don't translate on podcast, damn it.
Is there they do really well. Remember when you did the Planet of the Apes song last time? That was perfect. Oh, you guys missed the cue.
It wasn't Planet. It was a Star Trek song.
Was it?
Yeah, it was the Wrath of Khan song.
I don't know.
No, it was the
We're both wrong. It's okay.
a mock time episode.
I'm gonna skip to my next favorite line that came in, and I'm pushing you all. We're skipping this.
What are you skipping?
No, I don't know. I don't know if we're skipping anything.
Well,
but when
You can skip stuff.
the general guy is, he's like, in all my years of covering top secret discoveries with sheets, like I think this, like, or whatever. But it was just like covering top secret. I'd like to think that's.
I missed that.
Yeah, when they walk into the warehouse.
Yeah,
and
when
it's
they're
just
about to
empty.
show him the rest of Bender's body or whatever. But yeah, like in all my years of covering.
Yeah, well, all of
yeah.
that stuff was so good. Even like in the one crackpot conspiracy theorist that no one will believe,
And it
with the
just-
broken camera that everything came out. Like,
as one of the famous conspiracy
Yeah.
photos. But then it was like, what else did he say? He's like, during the sheet part too, the other guy is just like, I believe I can say, sir, I can safely say, like, just like so ridiculous.
there was one last thing with Zoidberg right before that when he was like, Zoidberg, pick up the pieces. Everyone else take 5.
Yeah.
Like just typical shit on Zoidberg. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
I like when they realize they've traveled through time. Professor explains it with gravitons and graviolis.
Yes.
Gravitons and graviolis are my 2 favorite words.
Well, gravitons are actually a thing.
They're a real thing.
So
but raviolis
before they go out and Fry meets.
sounds
Enos.
like a mixture of graviolis kind of reminds me like if like tapioca and gravy were one thing and like the little balls in a gravy would be graviolis.
Yeah.
I just thought it was gravity ravioli.
Yeah.
So like,
Oh.
What were the oh God, the pieces in Tie and Key, were those chronotons?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so chronotons and gravitons.
And
graviolis.
Yep.
But then was it chronograph turned into a pinup calendar?
yes. But okay, so here's one of the things that I was like, I wonder if they were really accurate about the date thing. And they weren't, because it's circled on there and it says that it's July 9th, 1947. But the crash, like the Roswell crash, is actually July 8th. And then it was reported on the 9th.
Well,
So-
they were looking at it the next day, weren't they? Because Zoidberg had already been taken and Bender had already been taken.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could have been the next day. They could have crashed late at night.
The
and
pinup
then-
calendar could have switched the date that was circled every day because it would have to stay accurate.
Oh, I guess
It's
that's
a highly
true.
tuned piece of machinery.
But I
with
was just
pinups
like,
on it.
it just was one of those things that shocked me where I was like, I really wouldn't.
No, it's probably the next day thing. Because I mean, for the sake of this episode, they crashed. Like say late at night or something like that.
Yeah.
But before they go, out to check out the area they're in, the professor, tells them not to, that whole time travel thing. Don't do anything in the past.
Yeah.
Or you'll whatever he says it, destroy your existence or however he words it, and Fry. But existing is basically all I do. And then just that level because that's kind of is
Yeah.
being
Well,
lazy.
And that they tore the universe a new space hole, and it's clenching tight fast. Like that was all the professor's typical.
Hold on. The quote is Professor Farnsworth says, "If, for example, you were to kill your grandfather, you would cease to exist." And Fry says, "But existing is basically all I do."
But yeah, so then they venture out the professor and
You
Leela
dim-witted
realize they have
monkey.
Who does he say that to? Fry.
Fry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Realize they have to. Well, so they have to get a microwave, but it's
Yeah.
pre-microwave, home appliance microwave time, and then
How many people do you think watching this episode was like when they were like had to go get a microwave and they're like, oh, 1947? Do you think they knew microwaves did not exist back then?
you think if you were like
Just a person watching it?
yeah, I don't probably
I knew
a lot.
I
don't
knew
know.
because I remember when microwaves came out.
I don't. I feel like we always had one.
Really?
Yeah.
No, like early to mid 80s.
Yeah.
When did microwaves
I remember when
come out?
VCRs came out. I remember when that was
Yeah.
a big thing. But
I think
We had a
microwaves came out like
Betamax.
1982, 3, 4, somewhere around there.
Probably a little earlier, but I would say like widespread every household by 1990. But up until then, I think you'd still see people who didn't have them.
wow, I just felt like everybody had one as far back as I can remember. But at the same time, I wasn't preparing any of my food until like 1990. So and even then, it was because we had microwaves.
If I stick this in there, what's going to happen?
I'm
I
weirded
was
out.
burning myself on steakums on the stove.
I'm weirded out that there's a fish button on a lot of microwaves. Who's microwaving fish to?
Oh, they have like roast
Salmon.
buttons and stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Who
When it came
uses
out,
those?
When it came out, if you look up the old commercials from the first microwaves, it was it's the big oven-sized microwaves, and they were like, oh, you can cook a turkey in it or whatever. But like,
And you can cook
can't do that
anything and
now.
it'll just be shitty.
Yeah.
But like my mom's first one, which was like this massive, like you'd install in a range, had like a meat thermometer attachment that you would plug one end into the machinery with like a 1/4-inch phone cable and the other end into your roast or whatever. It looked like a little tiny sword. Shove it into the meat. And it would just keep cooking until it hit the internal temperature you were supposed to hit.
That's
crazy.
Cool.
No,
Do you guys-
it's not, because it wouldn't brown your meat. It would just cook it and make it tough and gross.
Yeah, that's all the microwave is good for.
Do you guys remember when we had?
Killing things and because really you could microwave anything and
Creating space holes.
Pretty much everything that would hurt you is gone off of that.
Do I remember what?
When we had Michelle on, and she told that story about somebody having that really old microwave that the door wouldn't.
Oh, yeah, it wouldn't
the safety
close.
was off.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever put anything you're not supposed to in a microwave?
Yes,
Like what?
a CD.
I've done that.
Oh, yeah,
too,
yeah.
I just put a fork in to see what would happen.
Yeah, I've done that too. Yeah.
You know what?
Traveled back to 1947.
I put a whole. This has happened a bunch of times. Oh God, I did not learn the first, second, third, fourth. I've come home. Oh, okay, all right. Like, I've taken like a bag of fast food and not realized that the because
You talked about this before,
yeah,
I think.
and
yeah.
put it in and had the foil wrapper on the burgers. Where I was thinking, oh, it's probably paper or it's not real tinfoil. And people have said like that's not real tinfoil or whatever, and then put it in there and
It's not
Hershey
real
Kisses or
meat.
whatever.
It's not real
Yeah.
bread. It's not real vegetables, and not real cheese. Why would it be real?
It was probably
tinfoil?
Arby's. There's nothing real going on in there, and put it in there, and the tinfoil was the only real thing, and caught the bag on fire, and then everything in smoke, and et cetera. So
You know which one is surprising? Because I've done CDs too. Grapes.
Chip bags.
Grapes.
Grapes.
huh?
If you cut a grape in half and put it, I may be misremembering this, but I've seen it done and it's crazy. It's like if you cut a grape in half so that like it's the skin is still touching. You have like two halves, but they're still joined, and you put it in a microwave and turn it on. Like I think it creates plasma or something. There's something about the way that the charges, across the top of it, and the way that it's acidic and whatever, and it like a grape will spark like that and shit. And it's like, I think you're not supposed to microwave grapes.
They don't turn into raisins.
No, because raisins is dehydrating. This is like
I know.
charging up the stuff. It's
Putting a chip bag, like one of like the like single size chip bags in there, it will spark and then it will shrink down and you can still see everything as a tiny little chip bag.
Oh yeah, marshmallows. Remember doing that when you were a kid? That was
Yes.
fun.
I do that all the time right now. That's how I make it. It's like my poor man's. Well, not.
Oh,
poor
yeah.
man's,
I
but
thought you were
like
about to say
s'mores.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I
The
just
city
take
s'mores.
s'mores. I just put a graham cracker in there and I stick a marshmallow
Yeah.
on top and then nuke it until it like
it gets
blows.
giant.
It like
Well, when you-
blows up and then it goes.
Before you finish the sentence, you're like, that's how I make my. I thought you were gonna say like some thing that you like a pillow, like, oh, that's how I.
Have you ever put a pillow in a microwave?
Did anybody, when they were a kid, putting the marshmallow in there, feel like you were Honey, I Shrunk the Kids something, or well, the sequel, making something bigger, like?
No.
No.
No one in the entire world has ever thought that,
You
Horchie.
didn't do that and then take it outside and play with ants and go like, it's my best friend. Let's fight a bee together or a scorpion.
You're mixing both Honey, I Shrunk the Kid and Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
Yeah. Whatever. I can put them together like any other sequel series.
What about Honey, I Shrunk Us?
Is that the third one?
I think so.
Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, I think is what it's called.
I was really not a fan of the
No duh.
I was really against the fourth sequel, Honey, You Died and I Quit Acting.
Oh, God. I was going to try to make a joke like that, but I didn't want to, but you did it.
Bravo. All right.
He's a treasure. And it's a really sad story.
He's got a music career, though.
All right, so apparently microwaving grapes does create plasma or something. I tried to Snopes it, but
Could you sell it at a plasma clinic?
no, but you could make a TV out of it.
Huh.
Is that what a TV's made out of?
Grapes.
Just a bunch of microwave grapes glued together. I never realized.
Isn't
And
that
also,
how,
that's a plasma TV, and those are outdated.
isn't that how Chaz Monticelli got his first fortune? His grape TVs.
No.
It's not
So
what
so after they go
the
out
story I heard, Tom.
and separate, we haven't seen. Well, Zoidberg gets captured. We don't see it until the next scene, but the professor and Leela, go to look for a microwave. But before that, we see Fry meet Enos, and we started to get into that.
Wait, all-purpose spray.
Uh-huh.
Has that ever come up before?
No, not that I remember.
And does it ever come up again? Because
Yes.
it just seems weird.
I can't remember. When was the one that Amy uses it to make a bikini?
Oh yeah,
I thought that was just a spray-on bikini. Was it
it was a
all-purpose
spray.
No,
It wasn't an all-purpose. It was a spray on bikini.
I thought it was all-purpose spray too.
I think it said the can said spray on bikini.
Mm.
It effectively did the same thing. I thought it was weird that he was like, oh, and then it turned into the right thing. So was it like actually creating clothes or just some kind of elaborate camouflage?
I wonder if
Yeah, I
it's
was
like
wondering
psychic
that,
paper.
too.
If it's like the aerosol version of like psychic paper or something where you can
Where
see.
if he's thinking about, or if somebody else is thinking
yeah, then it
what
just
it
looks like
should be.
Yeah.
What is of psychic paper?
Psychic paper is on Doctor Who.
Are we still talking about the all-purpose spray?
Yes.
That's like that could be used. I don't think it's used very much at all in this series as it goes on, but that's like the answer to like every like Marvel, like how does their suit do whatever superhero? It's just like I think it's like something about atoms. Like I don't know. There's like an explanation about, but that's like so cool. Like everything, whatever you need, that all-purpose spray is just gonna do it.
Oh yeah.
Seems like kind of lazy writing to me. Like,
Well,
the
the thing
future.
is, he could have just got a uniform. But
Yeah.
I think the point of it was let's throw in a future thing, which is the point of the show. Is like, well, instead of just somebody putting on some clothes, what can we do that'll be a fun future thing? That'll be like a cute
well,
little
I mean,
joke
what would have
thing.
been fun and cute and jokey was just Fry to walk around the base in his underpants.
But then he
I
would have
mean,
stopped in the episode.
He
would have
basically
ended.
is. He's walking around with paint on his body that looks like a uniform.
Unless it's not paint.
It could be. It's all-purpose spray. We don't know what it is.
Could you make okay, if it's all-purpose spray, could you make it be some kind of non-physical camouflage or actual clothing? Does it let you do either?
If the situation called for it, I believe it could.
How
If
would the
it's
spray
all-purpose.
know which is the right thing to be?
That's for you to
We have to
to
ask
decide.
Ron Papil.
Was he involved in that?
Probably.
He was in the spray gun hair.
He also invented the technology to keep heads alive in jars. So
He
he probably invented.
Also invented the technology to set and forget things.
They actually that is what actually morphed into the things to keep heads alive in the jar.
The rotisserie oven?
Like, probably you set it and forget it.
If you forget it
Yeah.
forever, it's gonna Well, that's a whole other thing.
So, anyways, we get to meet Enos. He has a lot of great lines, I think, for a one-off character.
Yeah, he's pretty dumb too. Like you see where Fry gets it.
Oh yeah, and then it turns out that he doesn't. You spend half of the episode or a third of the episode going like, oh yeah, look, they look alike. You can see the relation.
Yeah,
and technically he's Professor Farnsworth is. You at first you think great or whatever, and when he first meets him and he's about to get hit, what he about hit by a truck or something or a jeep or whatever?
It's like way down.
Yeah,
and it turns.
Then he pushes him. And he's like, "Good thing I landed in these rusty bayonets. Now it's time to go." What is he gonna do?
He's got to clean the latrine so Sarge can eat off the toilet.
Yeah.
No, but then the chicken thing where he's like handling raw chicken,
and he like licks
best
his finger.
part of the job.
And then as he's almost dying, Fry's like, and this was a good like. I don't know if this is a bad timestamp. It kind of is. There's definitely no 20-year-old watching this and getting it. But he's like, every time you're about to, every time he's in danger, I can feel myself fading away like Greg Kinnear, which is just like, because even at the time, it's not like Greg Kinnear was like huge. It's not like that's not like a household Brad Pitt name or whatever. But it was like.
But now,
it's like, oh,
But we all still know who he is.
We do because we're old, but like I'm saying, if you were watching it now and you're a young person,
yeah. But if you were just if you said to like a young person like James Vanderbeek, or probably really if you said to a young person like Drew Barrymore, I don't even know if she'd flag necessarily.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is a generational thing.
I just mean because it's like one little joke. I mean that's every TV show.
But
yeah.
he's I mean I get where they were coming from with the joke for it, but he's actually kind of surprisingly held on to a point where. If you saw him as like the fourth lead in a movie right now, you'd go,
movies.
yeah,
don't get me wrong. But at that time, it was like, well, because at that time he was doing that host thing.
He was hosting a basic cable clip show,
and then and he was like a
Chris Hardwick turned that into an empire.
Yeah, he was like a buzzword guy, and then he started acting, and it was like, oh, he's getting in all these like big movies, and then he started to. Was that the Pay It Forward movie? No, Pay It Forward was the Pay It Forward movie. No, he wasn't in that. Never mind. I'm thinking, I don't know why I confused that. Yeah, As Good as It Gets.
One of the best lines in this show, this laugh out loud line for me, was when Fry yells at Enos's crotch.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's going to be all right, Dad.
Oh, yeah. That is, one of the...
You almost got neutered.
Well, it's not
ain't as bad as getting killed.
For me, it is. So then they go to...
You ever get the feeling you're only going with girls?
Okay, so this is the thing. This is the thing that just came together for me, like, as we started talking about Enos earlier. Jim Nabors is gay if he's still alive. If he's dead, he was gay. But like famously closeted forever for despite being gigantic television star for basically the 50s and the 60s to the point where even like in the 80s Gomer Pyle was like a cameo that would show up on stuff. So then to have Enos be modeled off him and just be like, do you ever just kind of what like the thing with the
didn't think of that.
The pinup.
That's good.
Where he pulls it up and there's the beef.
The best part of that is the look on Fry's face as he just like grabs the calendar and pushes it back down to the pinup girl.
All of Fry's reactions when he like just hints at like not liking girls is just great.
And I also with everything that all the mishaps that Enos almost keeps having and him like. I like when any situation where Fry's the one that's like just a little bit smarter, where he's trying to save him from falling into stuff or whatever. Also,
Enos orders a pie with a fried egg on top.
Yeah, that was like a joke about the no health consciousness back then. It's like,
Although I bet you could go to any place that serves like gourmet pies here, and they probably have like the menu. No, you got to eat with raw egg on top.
Oh yeah,
fried egg on top.
I also liked that they had the sign that said only one teen to a malt.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, so in between that, because they're switching up. Now we're watching these three little things happen before they come together at the end. Then we switch to Zoidberg.
Oh my God.
Being in the this is before Truman gets there, but when
Yeah.
they're just in the lab
With the buffet.
the door opens up and just him walking in like, oh, it's just all he's so like oblivious and aloof and just happy.
He's just
So what are
happy
you
that
guys
people
doing
are paying
tonight?
attention
oh,
to him.
absolutely, yeah.
There was a shot of him like dead on to his face where he's just sitting there smiling and he did not look anything. He looked so angular and nice, just like hi. But the thing with the buffet where they're like, this will show us what it is he really prefers to eat. He's like, oh, if only I had my wallet with me.
It's free. And then Billy West just doing a
like
bunch of
this,
his,
the sucker on the glass.
yeah.
I guess he's just trying to lick the gravy off it or something, right?
Well, he threw there was like pizza and like something else that
A
like
tomato and, like,
the
yeah.
tomato that all like flung against the glass.
He doesn't eat like responsibly or
No, normally he eats garbage.
neatly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like amazing. Like he couldn't contain himself.
Yeah, yeah.
He eats and smells like garbage.
And when they like reconstruct Bender's body into the
The flying saucer.
flying saucer, I had a problem with that. How I don't feel like his body could be. I didn't like that, and then at the end when they just put his head back on it, and they just
Where it's like Bender's body always obeys the laws of physics or something.
Tom, do you want to just jump to the next episode?
No, I did like that a
anyways.
bottle of beer fell out of it.
yeah. It was a lowbrow.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody caught that. It was real quick. So anyway, so then that's Zoidberg. Then we go back to then we get to see
This-
the professor and
episode bounces all around. Right?
Yeah.
Like different.
because
Yeah,
they
sorry.
split up and they they
Yeah.
do this. Everyone's going on their own little mission.
It's basically like Quantum Leap. They'd have those things where he's like here, there, then the other people. And then,
Yeah.
Or Law and Order. Or any one of those shows.
Yeah,
where it's
well, Law and
multiple
Order is a good
stories.
example.
Or Game of Thrones or Lost, where they just bounce all over all the time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or basketball.
but that's
where
the
they
thing
bounce.
though. But that's the thing though. They did that really well. This show is 23 minutes, with commercial or
Yeah,
without
yeah.
commercials, and having like doesn't it feel like a little movie? Like some Futurama episodes,
Yeah.
feel like they're an hour or longer.
I read something that they were this original idea was going to be in one of the anthology of interest.
Oh, and then they-
I'm so
They were-
glad because
Oh,
that
yeah,
would have
'cause
been
it's
what
such a
7 minutes.
Oh,
of
yeah.
like we're here, whatever. So then we go back to the professor and Leela. Did anybody write down the signs?
Yes. Fedoras for boys. Hard Croon Cafe.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing that I was like, oh, we got to tie this in.
Yeah.
Gill's Television and Radios.
Televisual radio.
Oh, okay. I misread the sign. Is that Gill?
Maybe
the Gil
it's
from
Gil's
from-
grandpa.
Well, from The
father?
Simpsons.
You mean
Gill.
Gil? Maybe his great.
No,
No, it
no,
would
no.
be like his dad or his
I feel like it
Yeah,
could have
'cause
been
it's
Gil
just-
in his 20s because he was like,
Or
in
Oh,
his
yeah,
60s
we go
and
back in
70s.
supposed to be
time.
like
Now
a
we're
Jack
not in the
Lemony kind of
future.
character.
Yeah.
so.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's where the clock and Gil is one
I
of
bet
his
that's.
failed
I mean,
businesses.
it's been a long time since I read that Simpsons Futurama thing. That might be in there,
It all ties together.
but we'll when we get to that, someday. But then, all right. Oh shit! Sorry. so they go past there, and then they go into the store, looking for a microwave. And first of all, I like.
Honey,
their
I never
outfits.
heard of that brand.
I like
Sir,
their
your
outfits.
wife's hysterical.
all the little just sexist on the nose lines. The foot soaking tub for
That's one
obviously
of my favorite things.
I kind of want one of those on our stove.
If I
now.
ever go shopping for an oven, I'm going to ask if there's a foot soaking.
I mean,
For when I
really.
make roasts.
Oh, so the drawer on the bottom of your oven that everybody stores all their freaking
Yeah.
pans in? That's supposed to be a warming drawer.
Right.
I mean, you could theoretically make that a tub. You just stand
where you
in
would
it.
warm some bread or something.
That's where I was.
Yeah, but
thinking-
why would you put it in? It's dirty and gross. Even if you keep
Yeah.
it clean, it's just too.
No, there's no way.
Yeah. What kind of animal would you have to be?
You know how I keep things warm?
Putting them in your nature's pocket.
Nature, I was gonna say.
So, anyways, so then Leela, when she tries to talk like Fry,
Oh yeah.
Hey, Holmes.
he's from this
Ask
time
you
period.
something.
Yeah, which we've talked about Axe before. That's
Yeah.
right.
But
That was a
and
previous
and
episode.
really, it's just it's coming back to the the concept that we
Yes.
haven't touched in a while, the time compression.
we,
We just go, it's a 20th century.
Why did we
of course
talk about
it
that
would.
before? What was the
Because it's in time travel things, or when there's that sort of thing. It's like when you get farther and farther away from a point, the 1,000 years ago.
No, I mean, what was the was?
Oh,
was
it was in a bunch of stuff.
episode,
It was
or-
a bunch of different. It came up a lot.
like one time when
The history on the moon.
and the
That's
girl
the moon one.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
why. Yeah.
and the girl's like at the bar or whatever, maybe the hip joint or whatever is like, oh, I'm from the 21st century. Oh, I'm from
yeah.
the 20. Remember when the carrot people enslaved us or whatever?
Or the one with Hammurabi.
Yeah, exactly. So like, it's just that thing where you get farther and
Hammurabi.
farther away, and it doesn't. It all
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
the same. Like,
yeah, 1947 is the 20th century.
Yeah, so, I mean,
a century, it's 100 years.
Oh,
so
cars,
it's like,
right? Yeah, you had those. I mean, that 200 or 300, or in my case, where I thought cars were seatbelts were invented 150 years ago
like-
earlier.
us being right now in the 21st century, we're just like a blink in the 21st century, which is kind of crazy.
you
Yeah,
mean
we'll be
in
here
the
for-
31st
I mean-
century. Is that what you mean?
No, right now, us currently
Yeah.
in this time, the 21st century,
Yeah.
we're just going to be a blink in, like, our lives are just a blink in the 21st century.
Well, it's only 100,
Well,
it's 100
no,
years.
our
Every century
lives
is
are
100
about-
years. I mean,
I know.
I mean,
You know,
I'm probably only going to be
so
here for another year
Roughly
or two.
about
but, like,
0.7%.
you guys might be here for another.
All I'm saying
40
is
years.
that if we went to the future and somebody's like, oh, the 21st century, blah, 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 this happened, we probably wouldn't.
We'd probably be dead before most of the 21st century is over.
Well, yeah. Imagine
Right.
somebody died in the 30s and
what
you're
I'm
referencing
saying.
the 20th century. Oh, you mean, yeah, because it's the later part of our life. But it depends. Like, historically, you could say, oh, a lot of really interesting stuff happened in the first half of the century, or you could say, oh, it was more of it was in the second half. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, so Professor and Leela, looking for a microwave, funny, timely salesman. And then
Women, right?
Lights the tie on fire.
But the zoot suit was that was the other thing is like Leela was 10 years too far in the future with her
And he was
clothes, and he was
yeah.
like 10 years
Yeah.
behind, and nobody said anything about it. Like even the salesman was like,
so then we go back to where Fry's in the diner with, they order the food, whatever.
and it's Mildred, who is his
Yes, Grandma
grandma.
Mildred.
his sweetest.
What is Fry's like? What is
It
something?
was
What's the
after
dessert
that was
line?
right after he ate Bender's brain. I was like,
Yeah.
them crackers cut up my mouth.
Oh,
something bad.
yeah.
There's a whole deleted scene for this episode
Yeah.
of like how Fry
What are you doing?
gets
What is that?
in-
Oh, it's a
yeah.
communist detector.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Describe it.
You just did.
No, people. That sounded like. Do you guys know what we just said?
I
No.
Kristen?
You were talking at the same time, so
Yeah.
no, I didn't
Go ahead.
hear
Tom, describe the scene.
Deleted,
the deleted
scene is Fry walking up with Bender's head to like the army gate, and one of the soldiers stops Fry and is like, "Hey, what is that?" And he's like holding Bender's head, and he goes, "It's a communist detector." And he like holds it at the guy, and Bender goes beep 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 beep, and then he's like,
The soldier.
"What does the soldier say?"
He's like, just because I hang out in coffee shops doesn't make me a communist. Which, like, I mean, back then, all your...
Which I always wondered how Fry got into the army base with Bender's head.
Yeah.
How did Fry know that the shack was there when he runs
don't-
Enos
I
out
don't
there?
know.
Like that
I
didn't
think he
make any
just
I
sense.
think
drove.
he was just driving out into the middle of the desert. As he said, the middle of nowhere is the safest
Yeah,
part of
yeah.
nowhere. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he just kept
I gotta
driving
tell-
and then found that out.
I gotta tell Sarge, there's no time. But so yeah, they take him out there. He's driving away. It just you can't not laugh when you see that mushroom cloud, like which is what we'll all be saying soon.
Did
Aw.
okay, does Enos ever come back, or is this just a one shot?
Yeah, it's
for
just
Enos? We assume he was vaporized in that explosion.
Enos
Yeah, so
doesn't
he
matter
can't come
in
back as a
Fry's lineage anymore.
and
We'll get to it. Go on.
but so speaking on that, with Fry's whole realization of all right, so he goes back, hangs out with Mildred.
when she gets the call.
Yeah.
What, Kristen? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, well, my favorite part of that about him going and hanging out with her is when she's like, "Will you walk me home?" And he goes, "How far is it?"
Yeah.
Like, because he's all like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Wait, no."
I mean, that's perfect Fry, like where he's like, oh, sex, and then like anything that involves him not being crazy is like,
How come the professor and Leela couldn't read the menus at the diner? They were in English. They speak English. English is clearly still a language in their regular time.
I just don't think they were reading it. I think they were just like
They were like ordering just weird shit rather than looking at the actual food.
Oh yeah,
on the
did anybody
menu.
write down the?
It was Soylent Green with
Soylent
orange,
orange,
like
Coke.
Soylent orange
injection
and
of Femislim.
yeah.
What was the thing that? Injection of Femislim, and what was the croak?
Paella, croque.
When they were like,
Mizzou.
oh, it's the 20th century,
and then
it
a
was
stein of mead.
Yeah, I think they were just like
2 chili dogs.
winging it, and like when if you walk into just like a diner or restaurant or whatever, and you're just like, okay, like I'll take a cheeseburger or something. Like they probably have that or whatever.
Yeah, they probably.
Yeah.
Just
So that's
assumed,
probably
like,
in the
I don't-
future. They were just like, oh, I'll have this and this and this, and then 2
They ordered
chili
what was
dogs.
common. Yeah.
Oh, also with that, I liked that was where they had the conversation where he was like, when they thought they were going to be stuck there, and he's like, "Oh no, we'll have
Yes.
to endure the horrible music of the Big
Yes.
Bopper and the terrible tragedy of his death." Like,
So yeah, that's after Fry. When Leela and Bender and the professor come to the window the next morning, and he's talking about that, Fry. Real quick, since we're on that, the professor's like, "Do you understand? Why you're still here?" And Fry's like, well, I thought maybe God loves me.
yeah,
And then the pause, and it's that perfect like still animation where he's like asking him if he gets it, and then Fry's just blank stare. He's just kind of like But before that, there's the whole seduction scene of his grandma.
Oh my God, there's so much more in between that.
Yeah,
There's
that's what I'm
Harry
saying.
Truman busting out of the crate of canned eggs.
I think that's actually after.
Yeah,
Is
that's
it?
after.
I don't know. It's not
no,
according to
it's
these
after.
notes.
Well,
It's after.
Not according to
I
our
would-
notes.
I wouldn't write the canned eggs before they get to Chateau Le Havel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yo.
2 to 1.
2 to 1.
Mildred
Our notes win.
receives the news of Enos's death and breaks down in tears. Fry's attempts to comfort her. She invites him back to share a drink. Fry reminds Mildred of Enos, and she becomes attracted to him. Disturbed by the thought of incest, Fry tries to talk his way out of sex. Rips opens her shirt, and then while
How
this
about
is
these
happening,
cookies,
sugar.
while this is happening, President Harry S. Truman himself arrives at Roswell to handle the UFO case.
All I'm
So
saying
this is happening during this.
all I'm saying is
shit.
I couldn't write the note saying Truman is there in a box of canned eggs unless it happened first because I don't know the future when I'm watching cartoons.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe.
But all of that being said, just invent NASA and tell them to get off their fannies.
Oh, that whole Truman, this whole everything, every line, and he only had like, a few,
Yeah.
but it was just, everything he said was gold. Kristen, did you have one you were about to say?
Oh no, it was just something where I was like, actually, NASA wasn't invented till 1958 though, so I guess it's like they're telling them to get off their fannies.
Invent
NASA and
Somebody invent NASA and tell them to get off their fannies.
Yeah, and then it took another,
But they also
11 years.
That took a long time for them to stage a moon landing if they're doing it in 1947.
Oh, yeah.
Starting to build stuff
Which, okay, super weird side note, but I just found out very recently that
that
one
we
of my
never got onto the moon. Yeah,
no,
I
that
know.
one of my dad's friends was actually one of the people who worked for NACA, then NASA, and was actually one of the like aeronautical research like engineers that helped make the engines that got people to the moon,
Wow.
which is nuts. I found out unfortunately at his funeral, but
Was it like a rocket? Did they shoot him into the sky?
no.
That wasted opportunity.
The computer that
Very
got
much
people
so.
to the
But it
moon
was really
has
cool to find
less
out.
memory
Yeah,
than
yeah.
a
Like,
TI-83
Somebody
plus.
you've known
No.
that
That
you're
I've
like,
known
oh,
my
you're a
entire-
piece of history?
Like my
You
whole
don't-
life.
you
it's
don't need
just
that
like,
much computing
that's
power.
My
You
dad's
need-
friend Bill.
Aim, fire, and then a slide rule and aim, fire.
Yep, and then a nap.
Yeah, the 7-day nap where you don't get to change your underpants.
Also,
also
doesn't
why
TI 83 Plus sound like a
What's that?
Terminator?
It's also why I know the NACA and NSA dates.
Oh, yeah.
It's Torchy. The TI 83 Plus, doesn't that sound like a Terminator?
Yes.
Or
calculator.
I was gonna say, or the
But it is
stupid
a Terminator.
calculator.
Or it's just something you play Drug Wars on.
or
No, you play Snake.
Or
No, Snake. Oh god, but Drug Wars, I like that was like the dumbest, weirdest, like.
well, it could be a rapper too that uses auto-tune 83 times more than the regular TI.
Yeah.
I'm TI. Well, I'm TI 83 Plus.
Okay, but back
Texas
to
Instruments.
Truman's awesome lines of
Yeah.
like if you come in peace, then surrender or be destroyed, or like if you come to make war, then we surrender. Like
This is where the smiling Zoidberg was, where he's just
yeah.
sitting there, and I'm not hearing a no.
Oh, that
that's-
yeah,
yeah.
that was his. Yeah,
both good.
that
Both
reminded
good.
me. His face there reminded me of the one where he was making eyes with the lobster.
Yes.
and it just like I
I actually paused it to take a note on Zoidberg's face, and it was seriously the most adorable thing
Yeah.
that I called Sean in the room to look at it. I was like, oh, look at Zoidberg.
But yeah, so Truman, single conspiracy nut. Every time he takes a picture, first it's the first picture of the triangle UFO.
Yeah.
And later it's the when there is the when it's the
Loch
Planet
Ness
Express, it's the
Monster.
Loch Ness Monster.
And then what the whole like autopsy, but he's not dead. So what are they doing to him? Cutting
Just
Zoidberg open.
exploring. He's got 4 hearts. It doesn't matter.
And so the 4 heart line came up.
We
and
lost.
Jesus Christ, I was just automatically just filled with sadness because that was one of the questions we missed on the the trivia, which we discussed on
yeah.
here before. And I know that Kristen, that was one of the ones that you were like, how could you not get that? And I'm thinking, like, when does that come up? And it's, one of my top 3 favorite
Yeah.
episodes. That's when it was mentioned. And,
I really wish I would have
same
been at trivia.
devil
with
egg.
you.
Me too.
I,
Oh, yeah.
that
that's-
same deviled egg. This is kind of probably as good a place as any to do this. Is Fry his own grandfather, or is there a possibility that Mildred and Enos had already gotten busy and she was pregnant already? So Enos is still technically Fry's grandfather. And then Fry and Mildred did it, but it didn't matter. And that's why his feud, he didn't get negated.
That's what I think the conclusion a lot of people would come to watching this. So just keep that where it is unless you want to know, but there is an explanation
Does
later.
it come out later?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I mean, she is pretty persuasive. So even if Enos was thinking, about his friends on the base or whatever,
Yeah.
she probably still could have, taken things into her own hands.
but yeah, I mean, it is discussed later. That,
Okay.
I mean,
So this is some kind of Niblonian shit.
Spoiler,
Yep, yeah.
spoilers. Fry lacks the delta brainwave because he's his own grandfather.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I quit.
He did do the nasty and the passy.
Yes, past
Okay.
notification.
So in the commentary for this episode on the DVD, they actually talk about where Fry's DNA comes from, and they determine that about 1/3 is from each of his grandparents, and the Y chromosome is unaccounted for. That's it.
Okay.
David X. Cohen sets a challenge to find a steady state solution for the amount of DNA Fry gave himself.
That just sounds filthy by itself. Like
So he did the nasty and the passy, and he's his own grandfather.
Yes.
that song,
From,
I'm my own grandpa.
yeah, in The Stupids. Did you ever see that movie?
The Tom Arnold movie?
Yeah.
I'm aware of
He
it, but I don't
sings
think I've
that.
ever
He
seen
sings
it.
that song in it because he's his own grandpa.
Well, that makes sense. That's on brand for Tom Arnold, I think. Right?
Yeah.
So with have they ever used the jetpacks before when they go to do the daring rescue mission? Because that seemed like something that
How fun was that whole rescue mission too?
it was a pretty intense action scene. I'll give them that. I mean, like, this episode was pretty strong from beginning to end, but I've never seen them really use the jetpacks like that. And it almost seems like that would be part of the alien mythology that happened, going into the future if there were flying spacemen and space women.
I chalk it up to how Truman was beat up by Leela, and he just didn't want any of it out.
Oh, the president's choking on my gas bladder. What an honor.
Or the professor with his flying easy chair.
He's sleeping. He's like, what? Oh, right.
And he just lifts up the legs to pick up Bender's body.
Fuck, what was I going to say? Oh, go.
Well, I also like that Truman yelled, like, "Great Roosevelt's ghost!"
Oh, God. Okay. And then when Fry was being so polite, like, and he kept calling him sir, like, Mr. President.
I have a note in here that actually it just says the attack scene is really well done, but that's where it has the callback to the sergeant in the toilet eating his food out of the bowl.
Which Enos never cleaned, right? He never got around to cleaning it.
We don't know, because isn't he going to go do the part where he had the raw chicken, or did Fry get him out of there first?
Yeah, he didn't. He got him out of there. He was like, "No, this place is too dangerous. We gotta get out of here."
Okay.
So we chalk it up to that the guy just thought Enos cleaned the toilet,
And
so he
then
could eat his
ate
food.
out of it, which is just disturbing on its own. I also do.
I've thrown out food that I've accidentally walked into the bathroom with.
We talked about that a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, we did.
When we were still, getting into whether or not Horchie is eating nachos in the bathroom. And like every time I see him out now, that's the first question I ask is, "Do you eat nachos in the bathroom yet?" And he
eat nachos and go to the bathroom
at the same time.
Oh, so did you guys just do the anthology of interest?
Yeah, that's coming out.
Yeah, it's
a week before this one's coming out, I think.
Those
Yeah,
are
last
awesome.
week we
Oh yeah,
recorded
it
so.
is it's on the same disc for me.
Yeah.
That's right. So, which wouldn't load my DVD. The Xbox would not read my DVD.
One disc.
Part of the conspiracy.
Just this one. It read every other Futurama disc except for this one.
Did you lick the disc?
No, I did the and then like wiped it on my shirt thing.
You use toothpaste. You can use toothpaste to clean up cracks in DVDs and CDs.
Yeah. I actually have some sort of like repair thing that Lisa got me as a joke for Christmas because my car is just full of CDs like everywhere. And she's like sick of basically being in my car and hearing every single song skip because I'm like, God damn it. And then I just throw them on my dash, like, because I have that little like hole in my dashboard that I guess keep throwing CDs in. And then she yells at me. So sorry, Lisa. Also a past guest.
See, that's where VHSs were good. You could leave them out of their thing as long as you didn't leave them in like the sun or anything like that. They were fine.
Until all of their iron oxide residue breaks down on the tape, and
that's
become
why there's
unleashed.
tracking on a VCR.
No, it doesn't work if the tape shreds. That's their planned obsolescence, but nobody planned for it.
Laserdisc.
I don't think they make those anymore either, do they?
No, but you could stomp on that thing and it would be fine.
What is the difference between a Laserdisc and a DVD besides size? Because they both use a laser to read the information encoded on the silvery disc.
What's the word? God.
Gabardine.
No.
Haberdasher.
I'm just like, what's the word?
Aubergine.
Aberdeen, where Kurt Cobain's from. What are we talking about? I just came back from peeing everybody.
The longest P.
It just kept coming.
It was almost like a Sean.
I don't know why I can't think of this word. Like 8-bit versus 16-bit versus whatever. What's that?
Bit depth.
Yeah, but no, what it's called, like
Resolution.
resolution. That's what the difference is.
Okay.
Reserdine.
Residue.
Choke on
Resin.
that causality. That was a nice little throwaway line. Choke on that causality.
Yeah.
And then they leave Bender behind.
Yeah, I have something to say about that. Well, first, I mean, whatever you guys have to say about it. I have an unrelated thing about that.
Go for it.
Kristen, your husband and brother-in-law would kill me if I didn't bring this up.
By the way, same person, husband and brother-in-law.
And that's why Kristen doesn't have delta waves, delta brain waves.
Well, I mean, to be fair, someone could hold both of those titles, and neither of them would involve blood.
No, it
relation.
doesn't matter, but it's still funny.
So if you divorced your husband and then married
Your sister's ex-husband.
Which
Or-
back in old
or
timey
your-
time,
or
that was
your
what you
husband's
had
brother.
to do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like on Deadwood when he had to take his brother's wife or whatever.
He was not happy about that.
No.
He was not happy about it.
Turned out fine, I guess. I don't know. Show got canceled. But they're doing a movie. I fucking love Deadwood. Anyways, so Bender's head, leave it in there, and then they come back and get it. Whatever. That's an episode of, and I don't know if it was an homage or they just stole it. Either way, fine. I mean, who cares? But that's one of the greatest Star Trek: The Next Generation episodes. Do you remember when TV shows in the 90s would do that last episode of the season cliffhanger and then like two-parter?
They still do that.
Do they still do that for? Well, but now it's different because everything's a cliffhanger. Everything's that the season ends. But it used to be a thing.
Cliffhangers is how you get people to come back and watch it more.
And Cliff Clavins are how you get people to come back.
All right.
and
I don't know
watch
why I would
Cheers.
just associate
It's
it
also
with
a great movie with
Sylvester Stallone movie.
Sylvester Stallone.
But anyways,
Wait. You're throwing around that term great,
Great.
pretty loosely.
What are you talking about? Sylvester Stallone almost falls off a mountain, but he gets back up on
it's
it.
right up there with
That's
the
like-
River Wild.
That was before green screens were popular.
And they had to do all those seriously hard to do stunts. But anyway, so there's this episode of Star Trek in the end of the third season, beginning of fourth, cliffhanger, or end of the fourth, beginning of fifth, whatever, episode called Time Zero, where Data gets,
Picard is a Borg.
where that's one of the best cliffhangers. If you've never watched Star Trek: The Next Generation, speaking of the going back in time stuff and it being more fun, if you ever get a chance, you're I'm gonna watch this silly dated show or whatever. Watch this one.
Worf dies. At
This
the end.
two-parter. But no, that's you have a good
almost
death scene or whatever. Data gets
Geordi reveals he can really see.
Commander Riker can't sit on chairs.
correctly. Anyway, but real quick, the reason it ties in, Data gets shocked, electrocuted or whatever, and his head flies off. And there's a time portal. They're back. They're hanging out with Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain in the episode. They're in that time period, whenever
Just
that
pronounce
is.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh shit! Pete's holding up a Mark Twain mug right now.
Samuel Clemens.
Have you ever been to his house?
No, where is it?
It's in Connecticut, in
Oh
Hartford.
right, yeah, Connecticut.
It's crazy. He was like the MC Hammer of his day. He built this really elaborate.
I saw the Ken Burns
giant pants.
It is
documentary.
It's the
I've
most.
fallen asleep to that documentary several
And he
times.
would show people and go, look at
Super-
this. You can't touch this.
It's like this really ostentatiously elaborate house. Like it's just decorated. Like the inside of
Didn't
the
he
foyer
have a thing
is
of
all
I
painted
wanna
in
keep
gold
building on
Arabic
this?
script.
What was his mental reason for that?
He
Was
just
it
he
the
kept
explanation they give?
He kept doing stuff just because he was like new money. He's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna like this hanging. He built this nice house for his wife and his daughters, and then what happened at the end of his life is he just had to tour all the time and do speaking engagements because the house was so goddamn expensive and no one would buy it.
I'm a little disturbed by the amount of N-words scrawled around his house.
No, but let me just finish this real quick.
He lived next door to Harriet Beecher Stowe, who wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Yeah, I know. I'm
And then
familiar.
he had some, I don't know, there's probably some Underground Railroad stuff going in there. Oh, you're talking about Huck Finn. I get
Yeah,
it.
that's yeah. But
Yeah. All right, sorry.
But anyway, so yeah, that essentially the same thing happens. They're traveling through a time portal that, of course, has a limit. If we don't jump through it now, we'll be stuck here and have to endure the music of the Big Bopper, etc. And it closes. They leave Data's head there,
Daddy.
and then they come back. In their time period, dig him up. Geordi tinkers around with his head, and then he wakes up and he's
I
fine.
do
And
remember
they-
this
Yeah, I do remember that
episode,
episode. It's a fucking great episode. So that was one thing. The other thing I wanted to mention that's
And then he mentioned how many camels peed on his head while he was buried in the sand.
camels. Oh, yeah. Wait, no, neither of them were in. Okay, all right. Wait, you could pick any animal that would be in that region.
Because camels only pee once in a while.
While we're on the subject of Daddy, Did any of you
Not on the
watch?
subject of Daddy at all.
Did any of you watch this
This is
last
the Dead
season
Daddy
of
podcast.
House of Cards?
Oh yeah,
No.
yeah.
All right. I was so disappointed where there's a character that's like the chief of staff for the opponent, and then he comes to work for the Underwoods. It took me like half the season to realize that was Campbell Scott and not Brent Spiner.
Oh really?
And I was
They don't
really
look
like
anything
disappointed
alike,
after
or sound alike.
He did though, because now his hair's all both of them have like white hair and a slick back.
Yeah, but
and
Brent Spiner's fat.
Well, I haven't kept up on his regular appearance lately, but
He was in the
his
last
voice and
Independence
Campbell
Day.
Scott's voice are similar, especially in that sort of thing.
Speaking of Brett Spiner, I am in the middle of watching Independence Day
The new one?
Resurgence.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it off.
Yeah.
Off.
I watched
mic,
it
but-
super hungover one day when it right after it came out. So, anyways, the other thing I wanted to say is this episode being Roswell. Just wanted to mention real quick. I know you and Pete. I know you and Brandy went there.
I didn't go there.
Oh, did she?
Brandy
go
went
without
there
you?
on her own years before we met.
Oh, I
I've
thought
driven
that was-
through New Mexico a few times, but never actually stopped at Roswell.
Oh, okay. Then I misheard her or whatever her post was. But anyways, one time on one of my cross country trips, Cassie and I stopped there, and it was really fun. I'm holding a magnet right now, and I think at some point that says Roswell on it that I got there. I think at some point when this comes
Also,
out,
Cassie's this spiritual alien.
no, it's a talking dog. Find Roswell, New Mexico, Horsey.
Isn't that what that movie Paul was about? Basically,
Yeah. But anyways, I went there to do like the whole, check out all the goofy alien stuff, and it was super like disappointing, but still fun though.
Well,
Like,
okay. So I have.
I'm gonna post some pictures of me at the Alien Museum thing. When
I
this
haven't
episode comes
been
out.
to
or I'll forget,
Roswell.
and it'll never happen. But
it
I don't know. Find me on
sounds,
Facebook. It's all my shit's there.
It sounds remarkably like Loch Ness, where I have been.
Oh yeah. I forgot
And
you
I
there.
went there probably about 10 years ago. Actually, a little bit longer than that.
For us Americans, it's Lake Nestor.
Well, so the whole town, like you've got Inverness is like at the bottom of Loch Ness, and that's like the last train station you can get to. And then there's little towns all around it. So in this town of Drumnadrucket, I think is called, there's a little tiny hotel next door to the Loch Ness 2000 exhibition, which is already 17
Is
years
that like
late.
Blues Brothers 2000?
Well, exactly. So here's the thing. I mean, like the whole.
It's Jim Belushi in a Loch Ness.
This is the thing. The entire economy of every place around that lake is based on this legend. So everything is that.
like Roswell.
But it is breathtakingly
Or Cleveland.
beautiful. It is gorgeous. Like I want to go back there sometime
or
just to
Point
like
Place,
hang out.
West Virginia.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because it's
Hashtag
really
Mothman.
just like
Man, I
an
went there.
amazing place to see. But that being said, you go into the Loch Ness 2000 exhibition. It's about a half hour's worth of interactive.
Is it in 3D?
Some of it,
Oh, wow.
and there's like they have the boats inside. It's like it's their low rent Disney museum type thing. But the beauty of it is the whole thing is you get to the end. There's like video interviews of stuff and all this, and it's like you get to the very end. They're like, "Is the monster real? Is it not real? You best be the one to decide." They're basically like, we don't know.
and then you're pushed into the lake.
Get the
to
fuck
find
out, man. Get out.
You're handed a harpoon gun and an underwater camera.
No, you're into boot.
All right, we'll go around the room real quick.
The funny thing is in that whole video, there's an interview with this like giant monster in a fedora and sunglasses with his voice.
Yeah, I was gonna say with like the
modulated.
silhouette, and then like
It's
yeah.
like,
I don't know. I haven't made a scene, but it's just a legend.
It's definitely a legend. I know. When I'm at home underwater under the lake. I mean, at home in my house, not inside of.
When I'm selling trinkets at the store next door to this. What do you want us to go around the
Ness
table?
monster in South Park that like owed somebody $350?
it might.
Oh no, that was the succubus, wasn't it?
No, it was.
Was it the Loch Ness monster?
I think it was the Loch Ness
think it might
monster.
have
Yeah,
been
that was
the
one. That's an old episode. I don't remember that. Have you guys been watching South Park? Going through
Sean
the old
keeps
ones?
watching it.
Okay.
I don't think we haven't watched that episode though, but
Yeah. But anyways, I just wanted to go around the room real quick and ask. And this is like a loaded question. You don't have to answer it, whatever. And you don't have to have an actual answer because I don't have an actual answer. But that wouldn't make me sound like an idiot. Say whatever you want. What do you guys think about Roswell and aliens and etc.? Like, do you have like an answer for that? Somebody want
to? My grandfather worked on Project Blue Book at some point in his
Shut
Air
up.
Force
How has this never fucking come up? But real quick for these looking Project Blue Book is who was the guy, the main guy?
The predecessor to the Yellow Pages.
it was the predecessor to Kelly Blue Book.
No, my grandfather was an Air Force officer in World War II and after.
And he
flew over land and just wrote down addresses.
You know, he flew a bomber in the war and then was in the OSS interrogating
We've
Nazis.
never had this conversation, right? Okay.
Interrogating Nazis after the war in Germany, and then came back.
Boring.
He was still
that's not aliens.
Still in. Well, there's all that occult
I'm kidding,
stuff.
But that's
right?
But I'm just saying
he knew where the Ark of the Covenant was.
That's interesting enough in itself. You know?
Right, and then came back and he's dead, and he's been dead for 30
thousands of years.
So I don't know the specifics of it, but whatever his clearance level was,
he
knows whatever. Or at least he knows more than most people do about that kind of stuff because he was involved in it. Now I don't know. He died when I was
he might have been
or something and lived on the other side of the country. So I didn't log a whole lot of time.
I mean, for all you know, he worked on it in the way that really you work for this fun thing? Well, I'm just the accountant. You know what I mean? Like who knows what he did, but that's neat.
Yeah.
So. But real quick, the
have you ever noticed in the first entry in the Yellow Pages is an alien, an alien?
It's Adam Aardvark, or no? What is it from Selma? And they call whatever.
I mean, here's the thing. On the one hand, I want to believe. On the other hand,
the X-Files poster.
On the other hand, the universe is way too immense for there not to be other life out there, whatever form that takes.
Yeah,
it's
realistically,
to call back to our friend Neil deGrasse Tyson, just the probability given the size of it.
Probability-wise, that should
now,
be, but
has
traveling,
there been contact or travel,
the laws
or is
of space and time,
or is it people from the future coming back, or whatever?
Also bending the laws of space and time.
I mean, look, on the one hand, sure. Maybe. But the problem with the conspiracy theories is, for it to be as big as it supposedly is, that's a lot of people need to be fucking quiet. But then again, you've got airlines full of people that get flown from a parking lot outside Las Vegas into Area 51 every day and work, and nobody knows what the fuck they're doing out there either.
Then that too, yeah.
Because they'll get killed if they talk about it.
That's what makes those documentaries really fun, because you watch them and you're like, okay, there's no way. Well, but maybe. But there's no way. That's me every fun UFO documentary thing or whatever.
My brother works for the government in a capacity where he probably knows so much shit that would just make your hair curl.
Down to earth, that would be pretty amazing too.
It's like I can't tell you because I'd have to kill you sort of thing.
Wait.
Yeah.
Can I say this real quick?
Yeah. Is this your piece?
Yes, about the aliens.
Okay.
In Roswell.
Yeah.
All I care about is if aliens are real, they just don't look like E.T. the extraterrestrial. That's all I want.
Why?
Because he scares me.
You think Greys are less scary than E.T.?
No, God, those are also scary. I'd rather have them look like the aliens from Independence Day than anything else. Or
I'd
maybe
rather have
Morbo.
them look like
Morbo
Zoidberg.
is fine.
I want them all to look like Mars Attacks and be like,
Those were ruthless aliens, though.
but they're hilarious looking.
Yeah, until you're vaporized or your head is switched onto a dog.
I hope at some point, remember the one with the big hair?
Yes!
I hope at some point Becca takes off her head.
Does she move very swayingly?
Was that two aliens in a suit, or was it just one alien?
I think it was just one.
Yeah.
All right, what's your deal?
I agree with you. I feel like the universe is immense.
Well, let me
and
put it this way
growing,
before you
and,
finish your
like,
answer. We're not talking about life on other planets because that's, we're talking about Roswell, so we're talking about a visitation.
So, like,
of
okay.
course, there's probably some form of life on other planets. Maybe it's but just
What
this.
happened
But,
at
I mean,
Roswell?
I'm sorry, I don't want to. You can say that too, of course.
Well,
That's
yeah,
part
but
of
I
your
mean, just
explanation.
to say,
My
like,
bad.
which makes me feel like there has to be, there is, obviously there has to be other life somewhere, just like probability wise.
Yeah.
There has to be, which
Carbon and heat and et cetera,
I
and
like
this
to
happens
think-
and
which-
whatever.
so
and
what's to
moisture. Yeah.
what's to say they haven't figured out some sort of crazy travel thing and come, I just think we would be kind of boring.
The
though,
first
for
Men in
anybody
Black
else to
movie.
like
I don't know.
come
You can,
look at. Like,
there's a lot of
just-
excitement to be found in buttholes.
No, but really, the
Yes.
first Men in
Well,
Black
I mean,
movie is a good
obviously.
way to describe what happened at Roswell, I think. I
Yeah.
really like that movie.
That's a fun explanation. Anything like that, but yeah, you're right. That is a good,
What was that?
They found an alien, and then that just started that there were aliens on Earth.
Yeah, they found
all
out that
the
there was
time.
just a whole,
Yeah. And they just covered it up, and no one knew
There's
about
the whole
aliens.
Prometheus thing where it's like, oh well, we were this laboratory or this experiment or whatever. There's a million of those, whatever, like, or like you said, it could be time travel, interdimensional, all of the above, or nothing. And if it turns out that it is nothing, like, fine, whatever, that's cool too.
I mean,
They're all
obviously,
big
But it's
something-
way more fun to watch a UFO documentary and go like, I don't know, or a sci-fi movie and go like,
Yeah.
Let's stop
Well,
talking
and
about this and go
something
watch
like-
Ancient Aliens.
yeah, seriously. But yeah, that show itself, like, it's one of the
Tan
most
guy.
ridiculous shows on
What is his
TV, but
name?
it's fun.
What is the
I
terribly
can
tan
never. He
guy
has a
with
weird
his-
name and I can't
Yeah.
remember it. Does anybody know it?
Ah, the Ancient Aliens guy, the
guy with
guy
the
that
crazy
is
hair.
like every meme of.
John Smith.
I'm not saying it was aliens, but is
was
that the
alien-
guy?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, Art Alexicus.
That's probably pretty close.
Art Alexicus. Is that how you say his name? I
No,
thought
I
it was
always- I
I
Exactly.
thought it was
wrong.
like Alex.
But
Zachis or something.
How do you say
Alexicus sounds very like.
I just from seeing it in print
Giant
as like
eyebrows,
a
I don't
teenager,
know.
like that's how I always. But how do you say it?
I think
How would you say it, Kristen?
I always said it like Alex.
Giorgio
or something.
Tsoukalos. That's the guy.
Oh, he's like a Greek name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giorgio Tsoukalos.
Well, all right then. But okay, so like Roswell stuff, like
Yeah.
I feel like I'd like.
Where
I don't know.
where's his birth certificate? I want to know if he's an alien.
I don't know if I don't know if I believe it would be like, oh, it's a UFO that crashed
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, blah blah blah. But something happened there, like
Or
there-
it didn't, but
or-
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I
There's
mean,
a lot
why-
of crazy shit behind that story. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It
Not that
just-
we're gonna figure it out now, but go ahead. Sorry,
Yeah, I mean, just
interrupted you.
whatever.
I'm trying to like agree with you, and then also like,
Play
to be like,
devil's advocate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
So-
yeah. Because when it comes to all that stuff, I'm like my own devil's advocate. I'm like, I go every 5 minutes going like, fucking, the truth is out there, to going like, well, I mean, we're just here and there's nothing and it's fine, whatever. I mean,
All
either
I
way.
know is that the scariest episodes of Unsolved Mysteries when I
Oh
was a
my
kid
God,
were
dude.
always the alien
That
ones.
was, I was, we're the same age, and like,
And the Monsters in the Closet ones.
That was Monsters Inc.
there was no,
No.
Monsters in the Closet Unsolved Mysteries.
There was a one.
Shut up.
There was one. And
Oh
it
my
scared
God,
the
no
shit
Wait,
out of
dude,
me.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah,
because there were some
seriously.
ghost ones, so maybe
Yeah, there were
if that's-
ghost ones and shit. But
They were
like,
just trying to harvest your screams. It's fine.
There was Unsolved Mysteries, they would always have the paranormal one at the end. Yeah, all the alien ones and the...
You be the judge.
Did anybody watch that documentary that just came out on Netflix, the latest alien documentary one? It's that I can't remember. We'll talk about it off the thing. It was silly. There's this video. It's all over YouTube. It's been on there for a couple of years. It's this documentary, and this guy's like, "Oh, I get abducted, and this and that, and whatever." And he's like, he's like, I took a couple of videos, and he, I'm making quotation marks, caught some aliens on video. Tom, I'm going to show these to you afterwards. You're going to like laugh, but you're also going to be like, whoa. Like, there's this, one of it is his head popping up through the window, and it looks like it's such a puppet movement or whatever, and then goes down, and then the guy that's taking the video like comes in front of the camera and he's like, oh, or whatever. And I'm like, the next one is him in his kitchen, like, fuck, oh my God, where is it? What's going on? What is that? What is that? And then it's him looking out his like patio door, and this alien slides over, like, again, like somebody's holding a puppet, and then like, but in both of them, its eyes like do that squinty gray alien thing or whatever, and then goes
Like in
and then
Signs?
slides out like, "See you later, folks."
Hello, my baby. Hello.
Somebody gave him the hook.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to end this so I can watch this episode.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah,
video.
sure.
So Zoidberg duct tapes himself back together. Bender's fine after being under the desert for 1,050 years, which creates a paradox in and of himself because Fry meets Bender prior to the events of Roswell that ends well in the year 3000 and has that whole experience with him, at which point Bender would still be buried under
Think
the
about
desert.
what you're saying.
Pete, this whole episode creates a lot of paradoxes.
No, it doesn't. Everything's wrapped up in a nice little package.
No, wait,
Kristen, you
okay.
want to help me out?
So they if Bender's head was buried under there for 1,000 years, 1,050, how did he meet Fry in the year 3000 if they're going to retrieve Bender in the year 3002? Because Bender wouldn't be around in the year 3000 if his head was under the desert already, right?
Because it's a cartoon.
No, it's not even the explanation. Oh, okay.
No, I'm very confused.
I'm actually like I can't think of where you're going with this
okay.
right
I mean,
now.
I don't know how to do this without how to explain this without drawing a picture of a little kitty that travels through time. Okay, so all right, let's say right now it's 2017.
Yeah.
I'm here, and let's say I met you in 1997 because that's probably about the time I met you. If I traveled back to fuck, I wish somebody smarter was here to explain this. Nothing that happened in this episode in the year, let's say 3001 or whatever it is, negates anything that happened in 3000 because that's
Oh yeah, no, because it's still
Because
it still
they didn't
happened
go
after
back
the
in
fact.
time until
that's their timeline.
this time. I get that, but I also believe that's a paradox.
How is
Right,
that a
because
But then there's
because
also
Bender
all the
was
different
gone.
Benders and all the other Fries
So that
who
means,
are further
but that
on
also,
too,
so
Yeah, I
if
mean-
they would have went back in time, that means there are two versions
Of
of
Bender.
that Bender, the one in 3000 and then the one
yes,
in
and
the
they exist simultaneously.
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
wrong? That's not a paradox.
That's exactly.
If I go
that's
back in
exactly
time-
what a paradox is.
It's true.
No, it's not. If I go back in time and fuck myself, it's not a paradox.
no, it's your GG Allen.
Which is the point of time travel, and that's why we'll get there someday.
And they also, this whole thing with time travel, one of the first movie that comes out with Bender's Big Score, they go through all of this too. Like,
All
they
right.
talk
Yeah,
a
there's
lot
this
about
whole-
that.
yeah, Kristen
it just-
started to bring it up.
It's-
there's a whole bunch of because that's the other
That's the Lars one,
episode
right?
where there's like
That's okay, that's
tons and
fine.
tons
It's
of
just
time
there was.
travel.
It leaves a loophole that doesn't make any sense.
But it doesn't though. I'm just talking about as far as like basic time travel. Like that's not a loophole. Like
And also, it
But-
Well,
doesn't
they
make
even say
why
something
would it?
amongst,
Why,
like
if I went back in time,
But here's the other paradox. If Fry is his own grandfather, how is he created to be able to go back in time
yeah,
to become
that's-
his own grandfather?
Exactly.
So there are that's what the whole joke of this episode is that going back in time like
That's a
that
paradox.
creates these weird you can't.
Let me try and explain this one more time because I don't think you're getting where it gets weird.
which is usually how it happens,
Okay.
and then I realize
So-
what I'm missing.
In the year 3002,
Mm-hmm.
they travel back to 1947.
Mm-hmm.
Bender's head gets left underground in 1947.
Yep.
Bender's head is still underground in the year 3000 when Fry meets Bender.
Mm-hmm.
So now there are two Benders as of that point.
Yep. One underground.
Where
and
did
one
the
above
other
ground.
one come from?
He went back in time and lost his head
Yeah.
in the sand. It's a
That's a
continuous
straight
loop.
line. Like
Yeah.
I don't
Like
understand.
there's no,
what
it's
you're-
not. It's all time.
No, because all of a sudden there's two. There's
Right.
two of them when there's only one Bender, but now there are two.
Yep.
That's the point where it gets weird.
It's
and doesn't
not
make
weird.
So
That's
if
not weird.
okay, right now, if we here traveled back in time, let's say 10 years ago or whatever, okay, and you got. I don't know. I can't even explain it.
You would
I
still
feel
be
like,
there
have you-
10 years ago
Yes.
when you
Yes.
traveled back in time and you would see yourself. So it's the same type
So
of thing, except for he went
Bender
back
never
further
saw
before he
himself.
was born.
Or if he did, it wouldn't matter. Like it's
He
still-
was
it just is.
Bender's head from 3002 was trapped in the sand. Bender in 3000 hadn't traveled back in time to get his head trapped in the sand. So there are two Benders.
Right.
But they never coexist, and that's if they did, that's where the paradox
Paradoxes,
would
yeah.
happen.
But it still wouldn't be a paradox. They do coexist.
They
They're-
do.
no,
No,
they
they
can't.
do.
But you
They do
They can't
coexist.
exist together in the
Yes.
future. is what
because
Well, but that's just
just
that-
like Bender's big score, the paradox has to resolve itself.
Yeah,
I don't
Well,
think-
when
I
we
don't-
get there, it will explain
I don't
more
think
to you.
any of us
But that-
are on the same page about this. We've all got a different understanding of the stupid space-time
wait,
continuum.
let's wait till Bender's big score, and then we can have this conversation again.
Yeah, my head hurts. So let's call it a day, huh?
Well, I do, as long as we can't skip one of the best lines in the entire show.
Yeah,
Which
I
is?
hit on mine. Go
which
ahead.
is when they are going to steal, like, for the rescue mission, and Fry's like, but won't that change history? And then the professor's like, oh, a lesson in not changing history from Mr. I'm my own grandpa.
I have that down too.
I didn't write that down, and I'm like, I'm not going to miss that. Thank you.
And then they go all out just firing on the entire base.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That whole scene, like that whole.
I mean, this is a really good episode. It's just it's too late, and I'm too tired to make sense of the stuff that I'm trying to think about seriously. That's all.
Okay, I mean,
And I got to figure out if you were really mad at me about an hour and a half ago. Hey, thanks for being on the show, Kristen. Always a pleasure. Anything you'd like to tell people about or have them find you on the internet for or whatnot? I think we got about a 3-week lead before this will come out.
Well, we don't have, I was to say, band-wise, I don't have anything coming up, really.
What band though?
Oh yeah. Well, because I've been on the show before, whatever. Okay, so
yeah, don't assume that
Okay, yeah. Nobody listens to this except for this episode right now, right?
well, maybe.
Maybe. Okay, so I'm in.
Nobody is gonna go back and fast forward the episode you were on 40 episodes ago to find whatever you're involved.
Okay,
in.
yeah. Well, that's all right because it's changed anyways. So,
Okay.
That's right.
Because I quit one.
By now, people have shut this off anyways.
Yeah,
Go
I know
ahead.
exactly.
Yeah,
They're
this is
like,
the
"Who
famous
cares?"
part of the show where Horchie cuts off the plugs.
Stuff was happening, things and stuff. So, anyways, I'm in a band called Dark Matter Drive.
What's that a reference to?
Oh, it could be this show called Futurama. I don't know if you've heard of it, but yeah. So that's a band, and we play shows, and it's fun, and we're gonna record some stuff soon. And then I'm in another band called Teasbox, which this might actually. I don't know if it might actually.
Wait
work
a second.
out.
You're in
Have we
two
ever
bands
talked
at
about-
once. Isn't that a paradox?
No, it's a pair of bands. Well, I don't think we ever talked about Teasbox on here because it would be gauche for Tommy to talk about.
Yeah,
it on
not
his
allowed.
own. But where can people find out about those on the internet?
Well, Teasbox you can find out about.
I'm not going to
on,
promote myself.
Bandcamp, right?
Jan Camp?
Okay, so yeah, it's on
Jam Camp.
Is it Bandcamp or Reverb Nation? I
Both.
forget.
Both. We got
Okay.
it both.
So yeah, Teasbox is on those, and I think maybe a Twitter of some sort too. All sorts of things.
Anything else?
And then for Dark Matter Drive, we just have a Facebook that I made.
Well, you guys just played your second show last week, so
Yeah.
that's
Any other artful projects? Any business establishments you'd like to plug?
Oh, yeah. So I'm still I'm doing the Cleveland Craft Coalition again, which is like basically just doing a yeah.
I'm making
okay.
emojis. You don't
Sorry.
have to stop.
Yes, I do. It is a thing where apparently we're taking a picture. So
You can
there's that.
you can talk while there's a picture
I
happening.
can't. I can't do two things at once.
You did it before.
Okay. Anywho, Cleveland Craft Coalition. Stop putting things up at me and then I freeze. I hate you all. Everyone keeps picking up their phones and aiming them at me.
Not everyone.
Except for Pete. Surprisingly, Pete isn't being antagonistic. Oh.
I'm trying to be present and engaged.
But okay, so Cleveland Craft Coalition, we just do little pop-up like craft shows. It's a good way for people who don't have money to be in bigger, like handmade market things to get a little start because we don't charge a table fee. So we're having one every month of the summer at Fierce Confections. I know one of them's
Former guest Cassandra Fear's Chocolate Shop in Lakewood, Ohio.
Last time I had somebody make a balloon animal brain slug for my head. So that was very nice. But yeah, so those are at Fears. There's one August 12th, September 9th, and October 7th.
We got a couple voicemails and some texts on our phone number, 216-438-1077 this week. To Scott from Minneapolis, I think owl wine sounds delicious. We should brainstorm that idea a little more. You know where to find me.
Owl?
We can be reached at the aforementioned phone number. Voicemails, pictures on your
Was
text
that owl
messages and
wine a
whatnot.
tweet or a voicemail? Or a
That
text?
was a voicemail.
Okay.
We can be found at slurmcast.com. There's all of our episodes are there. Links to our TeePublic shop is there where you can go and buy T-shirts about Futurama or other cool things in the collection that we have curated. If you have any designs based on our show or the show that this show is about or anything else that you think is cool, feel free to send them to us and we can get them hosted in our TeePublic shop where you can make some money and we can make some too. We can be found on Facebook. We're on Twitter and Instagram at slurmcastpod. We can be emailed at slurmcastpod@gmail.com. You can write reviews in iTunes and rate us. We'd love to see that. Just because it's nice to get anonymous opinions from people about the garbage we put on
I would
the
like to
internet
hear
every week.
more about, what people think.
Yeah.
About Roswell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, call us.
Write us a review about Osra.
Or just
tell them about
Oswald.
aliens.
Not Oswald.
Call or text us your opinions on what went down in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. We'll make it like an old style poll where people just call and we'll tell you the results or the results that we made up and you won't know.
Did any of you guys mention the fact that the name of the episode was written on the bomb that was going to hit Roswell?
Oh, no.
No,
I did not mention
Kristen,
that.
we didn't. Thanks, you ruined the entire episode for everyone.
Oh, did you guys mention that this is our 51st episode?
Oh, that was the other
on
thing.
Mike?
Yeah.
Not
This is
on
the
Mike.
51st episode of Futurama, and they are involved with Area 51. Just a coincidence? Maybe.
So I guess we're...
And if you try and pass yourself off as Chuck and Gene,
I believe Chuck and
don't forget to neuter and spay your pets.
I already stopped the recording.